Hi everyone, Nhire once again, and this is the last build guide I'm going to be making this league simply because I'm kind of bored of it, and so there's just no interest in going even further into it. And this one is actually quite special, let's say, since this is a build that had like a concept of being Cyclone. However, I'm not a big fan of Cyclone, and Cyclone is just such a skill that is used by a whole ton of people, which is something I don't like to do. I just don't like to be playing the same thing as everybody else is. And so, well, after I came to a conclusion and after the whole build was completed, it, well, turns out that this build can play any skill you want. And by any skill you want, I mean any skill you want that is an attack. So, and that is not using bows too. Right. So that's not like any, but still, it's the range is quite big, yeah? Alright? Anyway. The build is using the flat chaos from the Alberon's warpath as well as the strength stacking thingy to actually get the base damage going, and because of that fact you basically don't need to consider having a skill that has base damage of any kind. So it doesn't matter if you have physical, doesn't matter if you have fire, cold, lightning, none of this matters. If you have chaos damage on the base skill like a Pestilent Strike or Viper Strike or something like this, and somebody just already pestering me, let's just go D&D. If you have some base case damage in your skill, then maybe it's going to be a little bit of a difference, but not too much. It's going to be like a 5% more damage kind of thing, but most of the chaos skills that give you flat chaos for the attacks are kind of useless anyway. Or rather, nobody's playing them to begin with, and since we are not playing poison, then there's just no point going for them. But yeah, basically every skill is going to be pretty much the same DPS, and the only thing that's going to actually matter is if you enjoy it, and the clear speed. So basically, well actually wait, probably the biggest DPS one would be the Molten Strike. If you have like a +2 enchantment along with the Dying Sun, this one could be the strongest, but in case of Molten Strike you'd actually have to change a little bit your tree a little bit, and by doing that you're gonna lose some strength, you're gonna lose some life or damage or anything else, but the DPS increase should be a few million or maybe even 50% more at most. I don't know, I didn't try it because for some reason when I'm trying to do this on PLB with Molten Strike, the point blank doesn't work, as in there is just no option for the projectile's range thingy. But the DPS could actually be pretty decent. But yeah, anyway, coming back to the original idea. You can use any skill, really. I already checked the things like Wall Strikes, I checked Pestilent Strike, Cyclone, Flicker Strike. I think I even checked Dominating Blow or something. I think Lightning Strike too. What else? Double Strike. A few others. But basically, you can play anything you want. It's gonna be the same. Oh, I checked Reave as well. And actually, there's gonna be a clip. Probably it's gonna be the last clip. When I'm actually clearing a T16 map using Reave level 1 with no quality. So it's a 6-link Reave with literally level 1 and nothing else to it. And it still just massacres anything there is and kills boss in half a second or a second even. It's just ridiculous. And that is actually the funny part, because basically the only thing that actually matters to us is how we apply the DPS. And, well, basically if the skill is considered KUV or not, as well as the base damage of it. Since base damage is basically the thing that's going to be scaling all the added damage we get from the Alberon's warpath, and AoE is basically going to increase our DPS because we're using Blood and Sand, which gives us more area of effect damage and more area of effect while in the Sandstones. Not to even mention this concept, the original one, when I was trying to play Cyclone, I was actually using the Blood and Sand aura effect on my helmet as the enchantment, and I was also using a level 7 Blood and Sand along with Empower and +2 to second support gems in my shield, which basically made my Blood and Sand level 12, which was about 21% I think, increased, more AoE damage, which with enchantment that's 29%, which is quite a bit. With this single thing the DPS just goes up a whole lot. However, if you're playing a skill that does not use AoE, it's not that big of a deal, but still, you're basically just not gonna use Blood and Sun in this situation. You can use something like Vitality, I think that's the Divergent one, that gives you increased DPS if you're on full life. And you can use Enhance instead of the Empower, so you can actually get +40% to quality. with the shield plus 2 to supported gems, that is. And low 60 quality divergent vitality is going to give you a 60% increased damage on full life, which is also pretty useful. And what else? Basically, the idea, or rather the main concept for the build is obviously stacking strength. This strength is then being transferred to the flat chaos you got from the Alberon's Warpath. Then you use this strength to actually stack the Iron Fortress unique body armor, which changes the 2% increased melee physical damage to 3% instead, as well as gives you 120 strength, rather up to, I think, minus 110, and it also gives you 1% chance to block attack damage per 50 strength. Since we're playing Gladiator, this is basically 1-1 block, so because block to attack damage is then being the chance to block spells is equal to chance to block attacks. And basically, we use this concept to get full block without actually investing any points into block. The only points we take with block chance on it are the ones that are basically on the way, so things like the shields with block next to the right area, next to life and shit. And basically that's actually it. That's pretty much the only block chance we get from the tree. Oh yeah, also there is one next to the duelist area, when you have the two-handed nodes, shield nodes, dual wield nodes, and the projectile nodes. So there is a single point right there. We don't take the whole 4 points with the big node. We just take 2, the small node and the big node, and then we just go away with the strength. So for another 20 strength. And this actually works way better since more life and more stacking. So it's way easier to actually cap yourself and get more bigger numbers. But basically, yeah, we get these 2 items, and then we go a little bit further, because the idea was to squeeze as much out of strength as you can, and you do this by basically getting the gloves called Repentance, which give you Iron Will, and what Iron Will does is it gives you spell damage equal to melee physical damage bonus you get from strength. So basically it's like a conversion kind of thing, right? So this build has actually 1560 strength, which is quite a lot, and then just converts all of this to spell damage, which obviously for us is useless since this is not like build, but we then use Crown of Ice, and Crown of Ice converts all of the spell damage to attack damage at 150% of its value. So yeah, this is actually quite a bit. So basically, just to make sure, just on top of my head, 1560 by 10, that's 156. Normally you get 2% increased physical damage, so that's being 312 percent melee physical damage. However, we get 3% instead. So this is 468, which is then being increased by another 50% because of the conversion. So you get 228, and you get a total of 702% increased attack damage. So with this three item combination, you have max block, you have a whole shit ton of flat chaos damage, along with over 700% attack damage. And this is actually not all of it, since the other things we're gonna take from the tree are things like the Arcane Swiftness from the Anointment on the amulet. And what this does is another 3% chance to block, as well as, I believe, 5% spell damage. I think just gives you casting speed. But basically the other thing is, which is the most important one even, is that gives you 5% spell damage with 5% block chance. So that's another 75% chance to block, which is 75% spell damage, which is also being transferred into attack damage. And that is quite a bit, since you get 100, exactly how much is going to be? 35, another 38, so that's a total of 113. Yeah, 113% attack damage just from the single node on the tree. So it's 113% attack damage and 3% chance to block just right there on the single node. And it also gives you some casting speed, which is kinda useless, but since, well, I don't really wanna pick up portal clones and stuff, I just use Portal Gem, and this is useful for the Portal Gem, so win-win, kind of, I don't know. But basically with all of that, it's not even the end. Alright, so basically since this is a Chaos build, what would you even use for your weapon? You'll probably use something like a strength thingy, maybe some area of effect stuff from the Elder mods, but since the skill I'm actually using in the end is not AoE, at least not all of it is AoE, since I'm using Wild Strike, and Wild Strike's only AoE thing is the Fire Explosion. and because of that I don't even need AoE. So the weapon choice is up to me, which is why I actually said that you can use any attack skill you want. Because the one I'm using right now is Wild Strike, which is fine with claws, swords, and everything. But I wanted to specifically go with the claws because of the life gain, because of the mana leech, because of the life leech, because of the blind and everything. All in all, this is useful. And swords would be probably close to the same close to the same DPS, maybe a little bit higher, but not exactly. Maybe it's gonna be like 5% more DPS or something like that, which is not that great considering you're actually gonna have to spend another 1 point on the mana leech. There is like 0.4% mana leech thingy next to the sword circle, close to the range area. And well, yeah. It's not really that big of a deal. For just a tiny increase in DPS, you're gonna lose things like the life gain, the blind, and everything. Not to even mention, it's probably gonna be more expensive to buy yourself a sword that's gonna be decent, you know, for this build. Since what we do here is basically buy yourself a weapon that has a fractured mode. This fractured mode being depending on your build, obviously, because you know maybe you maybe you spend some more points on the crit and you don't follow the skill tree just like me, and maybe you're gonna have a bit higher crit. Maybe then you want to go for the crit chance on your claw, and well, it's entirely up to you. But in my case, I went for the crit multiplier, so I got myself Imperial Claw that has a 30% crit multiplier fractured on it. And then what I do is slam Deafening Essence of Zeal onto it, and basically you try to get a single suffix and 2 prefixes open. So you can just slam it once and then just try to annul the other mods until you get just the crit multi and attack speed. Or you can just keep on slamming until you actually have the mods open, and well, it depends on your luck actually. And when you actually get the thing, you use the multi-mods for the 2 Exalted Orbs, which is actually quite cheap right now, considering how low exalts actually are right now. But yeah, you get the multi-mods, and after this you get 10% chance, 10% penetration for the chaos resistance, which is I think 4 chaos, and then you get 66% increased spell damage, which is 1x. And we get spell damage because we have Crown of Eyes, so basically 66% spell damage is 99% attack damage, which is gigantic for an unheaded weapon, and 10% penetration is just good thing on its own. So you get 4 really nice mods for really cheap, since I think I bought the base for with the crit multi that is for about 15-20C or something like that, and there's not many people who actually use the crit multi ones. The crit chance are like 5 times more expensive than the crit multi ones, and then yeah, crafting this is actually pretty easy since Deafening Essences of Zeal are about 5-6C, and the annulment orbs are just few Ks as well, so it's really easy to make one. Well yeah, let's actually go to the items. And right, so basically the things I mentioned at first are gonna be the Alberon's Warpath, the Repentance. Mine has the Spare and Hit with 40% increased effect eruption, and those can be pretty expensive, but basically because you have the Spare and Hit, you have 35% of your mana that you can actually use for anything else you want, which in my case was used for Vitality and well, a bit high level precision. And then we also got Iron Fortress, obviously, which I think... Nah, I didn't mention. Yeah, so I didn't mention. Yeah, cool. So we got Iron Fortress, which is like one of the main things that scale this DPS. It's not essential to have it, but it's nice. Because if you don't have it, you're gonna have to spend way more points on your tree to get block chance, so you can actually cap it out. And if you, well, don't have your block chance capped, then there's just no point to the defenses, so... well, and if you cap it without the Iron Fortress, then basically lose a lot of damage, so it's better to have it. It's just better to have it. And then the last thing being the Crown of Ice. Mine has an enchantment for the Blood and Sun or effect, as I mentioned before, but it's not the best one, especially for the skill I'm using right now. I'd rather just use something like your skill does 40% increased damage, or something like Blood Rage increased attack speed, or anything like that. But well, at the point in League there is just not a single one that I could find. At least when I was looking for one, I couldn't find it. So, you know, you can just use 1-for-1 chaos without any enchantment, just don't give a damn about it. Alright, next one is the Astromentis. The best one there is for us, since we both need intelligence to use Repentance and we need strength to stack it. That's basically it. Then the weapon they mentioned. Mine has attack speed, crit multi, 101 mana, which is actually quite nice for the vitality and precision. Because of this, we actually have another like 60 or 80 mana. How much do I have from 140? 85. Yeah, so that's 55 mana. Close. So 55 mana just because I have 101 max mana on this one. This is not even a hard tier. This is a T5 mana. So it's actually really helpful for mana sustain. And this is a random mod, by the way. I only had attack speed and crit multi, and I just multi-modded this thing. But yeah, that's actually a pretty nice weapon. I just need to, well, divine it, but well, the build is basically finished, and this is just 8% spell damage, which is then gonna be converted to 12% attack damage, which is not that big of a deal. It's useful, but well, the build is pretty much finished anyway, and I would probably spend like 10-20 divines just to get max crit. Max spell damage, max attack speed, and max penetration. The last 4 items being the shield. There's just a shield with life recovery, life, and strength. I got kind of lucky. I'm not exactly sure if I am lucky or not, but yeah, my shield has gain endurance, frenzy, or power charge when you block, and since this is a block build, you get those all the time. I don't really have any problems with getting those since, well, I have Enduring Cry on my left click. I have Temper Shield with Power Charge and Critical Strike on, well, all the time, so whenever something hits us, we, Temper Shield attacks them back, and there is a high chance for the Power Charge. I mean, a high chance, a decent chance for Power Charge, not to mention this thing chains, so you actually hit multiple enemies whenever you block something. And then you also have Frenzy Charges from the Blood Rage, which is 2% chance to get one when you hit a unique enemy, or whenever you kill a mob. So this is pretty useful. And I had an open prefix which I could use the life on, but instead I got +2 to supported gems, so I can get my enhanced level 6, which makes my Divergent Vitality 60% quality, and this is 60% increased damage on full life. The next ones are rings. This one is mostly so I can cap my intelligence to 306. Yeah, to 306. Well, because repentance, obviously. And if I have a lot of intelligence on my ring, then basically I'm fine with the rest of my equipment, and I don't have to spend any points on the tree to get intelligence to actually use the gloves. And after this, I was just spamming this with the Deafening Essence of Rage, I think that is the one that gives you strength, basically, up to 58. And I was hoping for at least single res and an open prefix for life. That's basically it. It didn't take too much money. However, the Deafening Essences of Rage were about 11-12 C if you buy them in bulk, and that is quite expensive. That's probably mostly because everybody's just playing Alberon's Warpath right now. The other ring I actually bought from somebody else. Strength, obviously, as much life as possible, res, and there was an open suffix for another strength and intelligence bonus. So this is 84 strength single amulet with quite a lot of resistances and some intelligence. The last thing is the belt, just life, strength as much as possible, some resistances, that's basically all there is. Flasks, Eternal Life Flask, pretty much classic for me, I always use this one. I don't know, I'm just used to it, it feels good to use it. Increase someone's recover to reduce recovery rate, it just slow but a whole lot of life. And since I already have Vitality and I already have life recovery on block, this is just nice. I'm immunity to bleeding because actually though it's not even essential to have it, since we're using 2 in Ashes, the unique jewels, and I was actually using them for the 5% increase AoE, since initially this build was a Cyclone one. And 10% increase AoE from 2 in Ashes altogether was quite nice, and I bought them over the the bleeding community one. But since this build is no longer Cyclone, then it's just fine to get yourself a bleed immunity one. And this is just gonna exempt you from using bleed immunity on this flask, so that's gonna help you out a little bit. Then the Diamond Flask, duration freeze. I got crit chance and charges on the Silver Flask, along with Bottled Fame for extra DPSs. And the last one being the Basil Flask. The reduced charges gain is the mod I was going for. However, the suffix was just a random thing, and it's kind of okay because the main sources of this build kind of dying are damage over time ones. So ignite was actually okay. So it's ignite and poison that can kind of kill us if there's too much of it. And so this flask just takes care of it a little bit. And since you have reduced charges used, then you can actually use it twice and not just once. Alright, let's go to the gems. Alright, so for the main skill, we got Wild Strike, Animals Ruthless, Molten Strike, Fortify, Ancestral Call, which we changed for the damage on full life, and Void Manipulation, Awaken Way in this case. But this is only level 4, DPS can still go quite up, and well, it can be pretty brutal. So as you can see, Wild Strike right now is at nearly 800,000 DPS, and this is with Ruthless, which doesn't increase his DPS, and with Ancestral Call, which doesn't increase his DPS. So I'm gonna take those two out. I'm gonna lose a little bit of attack speed because of the quality, so now 700,000. I would just increase damage on full life nearly 1.6 million. If I put this one in, it's over 1.1, which is, yeah, quite nice, especially, actually, let's just do it for science. Alright, so you get 1.121, Blood Rage, 1.9, well, sorry, 1.19, why does it increase my block chance? Oh, I don't have the increased DPS, the increased damage per block chance thingy. 1.42, 1.7, and this is still with the Anomalous Ruthless, this is still without Despair, it's basically without a whole lot of things, without Wither, so this in reality it's big. Not even to mention, it's without the Vol Ancestral War Chief, and Vol Double Strike, which applies Wither, so this is like 1/10 of what we actually have. Now, let's go back to the other gems. We got Temper Shield with Power Charge and Critical Strike, Purity of Elements level 21, and Precision level 12. This is pretty much enough to have 100% chance to hit, so we don't need to level this any further. And we want some mana to actually not run out at all when you fight bosses and stuff. And then we've got Divergent Vitality, Enhanced Enduring Cry, Portal, Pulverize, Reckoning, and Blood and Sand, Withering Touch, Ancestral Call, Ancestral Protector, Ancestral War Chief, and Double Strike, Vol Double Strike. And the last one being Blood Magic, Wooden Blades, and Animals Blood Rage. Okay, now let's actually... oh yeah, I didn't mention this one here. I got 1 jewel for just extra strength and resistances and life. Because, yeah, I didn't want to go for the heavy belt just because it was, well, safer to get one that has another 20 resistances on the jewel. So with this, it's basically just enough to cover all of my resistances altogether. Going to the passive tree. We get a classic ascendancy points for the Gladiator, block, 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 attack speed stuff. Right, now we go down here. We don't take any of the basic notes except the attack speed here because we don't have any choice. We take dexterity from over here because we use inertia. Inertia transforms this dexterity on the side to strength, which is what we need, as well. Wait, does it actually say? Yeah, as well as the dexterity from here. So it's actually pretty useful since well, we get a whole lot of strength just from this single jewel. And this is another thing I mentioned earlier on. We don't take the whole wheel along with these 2 small parts. We just take strength from here so we can scale it a little bit better. And this is the only block chance along with the ones right here that we take, and this one here. We're going down to the life. We get 1 jewel that has basically damage, life, and attributes, so you can get the intelligence as well, which we need for repentance. We got some damage right here, mostly because of the attack speed and stuff like this, because attack speed is actually the best thing for us to scale stuff with, because we already have enough attack damage to begin with, so attack speed is the second most important stat. It is not essential to get this, you can get something else. I can actually spend this on, I don't know, getting a bit more life in here, or just going up in here, getting more life from here, or, well, whatever else. Maybe you can actually go through this area and get another jewel in here. Up to you exactly. I know, this was just something obvious to me. I just take it all the time. I actually didn't even check if there's any other worth in taking something else. And yeah, not exactly. Actually, I took these points on a whim. This is basically something I always take on a block, you know, shield related builds. So basically take this shit away. Boom, boom, boom. Then you go down here. 20 dex, 30 strength. And the other thing is crit chance, and that's it. And now it's actually more HP and it's more DPS. One of the previous clips had +1 frenzy charge from here instead of the 2 points in life here, which is why the life was just about 6k, and now just a little bit better. It's actually pretty much the same, or if not more DPS and higher life, so this is the best choice, not this thing right here. Just forget about the previous thing I said. Yeah, thanks. And we take the call to arms, so during try is actually instant, so we can walk with it on the left click. Some life, increased strength, which is obviously essential for this one. Life, jewel with strength, crit, max life, life stuff, as well as the resistances, crit, melee crit, all the stuff since we are using Wild Strike. Then the fire explosion is considered melee, the lightning thingy, chaining thingy is considered melee, the basic hits are melee, and the only thing that is not melee are the projectiles. So this is just great for us. Going to the left side, got a Jewel of Inertia here, the basic blockchains, the max life as well as the attack speed and other stuff, and accuracy, blockchains, attack damage along with strength int, some attack speed with the accuracy and dexterity, which is then turned obviously to strength once again, life going up, taking all the claw nodes, life nodes, chaos nodes, and obviously the life and crit from the shadow area. And the last thing is the Glyph of Pride, which is actually kind of essential for the build, since you can get quite a lot of increased strength just from this, as well as the base strength they get from every single node, since every single one of those actually gives you 2 strength for these tiny ones that give you nothing else but stats, and 4 strength for the other ones. And the big ones, on the other hand, get you the kind of like bigger notables. In this case, it's totem damage, which is useless, 5% strength, which is amazing, 5% chance to fall double damage, which is also great, 20% melee damage, which is acceptable, Warcry buff effect, which is kind of useless, 4% max life, nice, 20% melee damage, nice, and for 5% strength, which is super nice. So all in all, that's 40% melee damage, 10% strength, 5% double damage, and 4% max life, which is quite amazing for this build. It's especially great because this spot that we use can actually benefit from how many? 8. From 8 jewels, for 8 big nodes that can give you nice stuff. The best one will probably be something like 15 or 20% strength with some other random stuff on the way. That way you can get up to like 1700 strength and just increase your DPS exponentially as well as life. And that is pretty much it for the skill tree. The other thing I wanted to mention actually is the fact that this build can not work if the replicas do not go further into the game, as in like if Heist ends and none of this stuff is actually gonna transfer to the core game, then this build is not going to be possible to make anymore, since it's entirely based on replicas Alberon's warpaths, which give you the chaos damage for strength. And yeah, this is gonna be the build they can only make this league, unless it goes core. At least the replica items go core. Because at the time, this build is actually going to be really insane, since all the clips you've seen in the background are actually using... This is using 1C unique. Then if you just drop Vitality, then this is also 1C unique. And this one has reduced spell damage, so basically if you get yourself, I don't know, a 5C version of this with 0% reduced spell damage, then it's gonna be even better, because this is another 13-14% attack damage reduced. That is reduced, so your DP is gonna increase. You can use the spell of Blasphemy instead of the Vitality, and maybe reduce level of Precision so you can have enough mana. And yeah, this is once again just few chaos. This body armor, I'm not sure if Alberon's is gonna be as well unique and used as it is right now, so maybe this body armor is gonna drop a little bit as well, since one like this is about 40-50C right now, so you can probably buy it for 10-20C next league. Alberon's, I'm guessing, would be quite expensive since this is just build enabling. Astromentis is kind of on like a medium size, so it's not going to be as expensive. Making rings is cheap. Making the claw is pretty cheap actually. You can probably, if you know how to make money, you can probably make something like this a few days into the league. Maybe not as you started obviously, but as a second build or third build, something like that. Everything else is kind of self-made as well. I mean, these rings, this one is, the guy told me that he made it by himself as well, and he was using this for the Alberons as well. This one I made myself. This one I made myself. This one I bought. All you basically have to do is just keep on spamming the pristine fossils, sell all the recovery with life that you can to other people if they don't have what you want, and you can actually make some money from this. And when you finally get yourself high strength roll on the suffix, you can just keep it and use it for this build. So it's all in all, it's not that expensive, especially since this is cheap, this is cheap, this is cheap, this is kind of medium. It's not gonna be that hard to get this build going, especially since These two jewels are pretty cheap. Obviously the rare ones are gonna be pretty expensive, but well, you don't really have to use as good as mine. You can just have a life roll, damage roll, and stat roll without 2 damage rolls or anything like that. So then they're gonna be like few chaos. Lethal Pride is always gonna be expensive early on, but after a few days, like 5 or maybe after a week, it's gonna go down. So it's not gonna be as bad. And yeah, all in all, if the item actually goes through to the core game, this build can be really solid for really cheap and can be min-maxed quite heavily and go over 20 million DPS, up to like 25 maybe even, with the right enchantment, corruptions, and maybe some more strength. And yeah, after all of that is done, the build can just smack ass and be really, really strong, especially since I'm level 96 at the moment. And yeah, if you get a little bit more strength and some more life on your stuff, like this shield could be a T1 life, so that's another like 12. What else can we actually increase? If this had like T1 or T2 life, so that's another like 30, 40 life altogether that we're gonna have. Maybe some extra life on this one, so that's like 60 life altogether. And with all the increased life we have on the tree, that's gonna be like another 160, 200 life. Just like that. So right, just after you get this upgrade, you're gonna have about 6500 life. Not even mention, as I said, this is level 96, so this can go up like another 12, 16% max life. So from the get-go, you're gonna be at 67, 6800 life. If you have some more strength from your stuff, maybe you can go even to 7000. Maybe some changes, maybe you're gonna get rid of this and get into some more life or some more strength, then yeah, it's just gonna go way over 7000. And this build is tanky as it is, but you can just make it into a monster that's probably not gonna die at all. Not to even mention we use in blind, and we don't have the unwavering stuff, so we have a little bit of a chance to evade. Where's my chance to evade? I don't have a chance to evade. Where's my chance to evade? I don't have any? Oh, because I don't have any evasion rating? No, I do have it. So why can I... It's weird. I don't know what's going on. I should have some, like, 5% chance to evade, shouldn't I? Maybe I'm blind. No, I'm not blind. I don't have any. And well, basically, even if you don't have any evasion rating, then you still have about 5% chance, and with blind this increases obviously, since blind is 50% reduced chance to hit, so that just makes itself work. And then we also have the Basil Flask, which helps us out, and with all the block, life recovery, and vitality, life regeneration and stuff like this, this build is really tanky. And ever since I started recording all the boss fights and stuff like this, I haven't died once, which is actually quite insane, considering I'm actually doing a lot of dumb stuff and just trying to face tank everything I can. But yeah, I think this is actually it for this build. It's already 24 minutes in recording, and this is not even the entire thing, because I actually split this talk into 2 parts, so this is about 30 minutes now. And yeah, I guess that's it. And thank you for watching, guys. This has been Nhire. That's the end of me for the Heist League, and I'll probably come back for the next one. I hope you enjoy yourself, I hope you enjoy the build, and yeah, have a nice one. See ya.